Who's there?
All right, you should be good now.
Hold on just a second. Hold on.
Well, it's too late now.
So we're on air, are we, Ray?
We are.
We are. I've no idea where Larry's gone, so...
Sorry, I had an infiltrator.
Tinkling of bells.
Yeah. Had an infiltrator there, so sorry.
All right.
Let's see.
Give me a second.
You should be
coming up
soon.
soon.
I'm live on my pad here. And we've already got a couple of folks up there joining us, which is awesome. All right. We're up and running, Ryan?
You're good. Sounds good.
All right.
Guys.
Yeah. Our volume's good? Our volume's good? I guess you can hear me, right, Chris?
I can hear you.
Okay, we'll just go from there. If anybody out there is listening now, I got 6 folks watching. If somebody can just give us a mic check.
How many?
6 already watching. Yep.
6? Good grief.
Yeah, they're all coming to see you, Chris.
There's no films on TV. That's what it is, isn't there?
All right. If anybody out there can hear me, just give me a mic check. Make sure you can hear me okay. Just give me a thumbs up or something. And well, either they can't hear us or they're not listening right now because nobody's responding to that. So we'll just have to run with it, old buddy. Okay.
Just go for it.
Yeah, we'll go for it. All right. We got about 30 more seconds. Yeah, right. Yeah, Ryan's definitely not be listening now. So, all right, let's ready roll. Let's do this. And we are back on the air, everybody. Welcome back to this surreal edition of On the Air with Indian River Hauntings. Surreal, yeah. Dan Squatch loves that word. That's why I put it out there so quick. Anyway, welcome everybody. It is about day 10 of our experience here in the States and around the world, probably a little bit longer over there in the UK. But thanks for watching. I'm your host, Larry Lawson, and I'm with my co-host here, good old Chris Huff over in England, County Durham, England. Say hello, Chris.
Hello. Hang on. I'm trying to get my microphone sorted here.
Oh, okay. So we are back on. It's strange, folks. We sincerely hope that everybody out there is doing well and that all of you are keeping your family safe, yourselves safe. Use that new term in our language, social distancing. Let's get through this, folks. We will get through it, and that's one thing we got to remain positive of. We will get through this together, and I feel strongly that we're going to come out the other side of this whole mess a better people.
Just remember, you've got to keep yourself 2 meters away from that connection box at the side of the room.
Well, I'm about 2 meters away from it now. Anyway,
See?
At any rate, but Ryan is my son. Ryan Lawson is engineering this. He's actually home due to a personal issue that brought him here, but he will not be joining us tonight. But he is engineering the show, making sure we're getting out there. So we'll be checking periodically. But unfortunately, Ryan will not be popping in tonight. But want to give first of all our shout outs to good old Ike Enzi out there at IDK Paranormal in New Mexico. Ike just put out a really, really terrific show the other day. It just came up on YouTube. Strongly recommend that you not only watch it, but you like it and you subscribe to it. Great show. He tells, he's a cop like me, and he talks about the paranormal and things that he's experienced out there in the Old West. So check his show out, IDK Paranormal, terrific show. Want to say hi to our friends Nikki and Sherry at Doodlebug Dowsing. They're the only people that we get our dowsing rods from for our investigations. Want to say hi to them. Our friends at the Driftwood Resort on the beach here in Vero, and the Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere, Florida. Hi to everybody. Hope you're watching. We got a great show tonight. We got something interesting. Want to make this note too. If you do enjoy the show, would really appreciate if you'd hit like and more importantly, hit subscribe, because once we get that magic number on subscriptions, we're going to be doing a giveaway. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and let us know that you subscribe so that we can get you in for the drawing when that time comes. So please do that. Chris, any shout outs for you? Do you want to say hi to Deb or anybody?
Anybody who knows me and anybody who's over here in the UK who's having a hard time, just bear with it, guys. And there's no beer challenge on tonight because I haven't been able to get out.
Well, I have, and I'm trying. If I have not answered you yet, and you've said something on here, it's because it has not come up yet. But I don't see any comments yet. So unless there's a problem, let's put that. Oh, there we go. There we go. Just came up there. Let's see. We got quotations is out there. M18, mic check. Okay, great. Dragonfly, we can hear you. Can't see Chris. Larry.
Can't help that. That's just count your blessings.
Ray Welling is out there, my dear friend. Ray Welling down there in Sydney, Australia. Hi, Ray. Thanks you so much for joining us tonight. Ray and I grew up together. Used to do a lot of stuff with UFOs and stuff when we were kids. So, Ray, glad to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining us. And Spanky's out there, too. Can spirits get viruses? I don't know, Spanky, but want to say hi to Deb Goldberg. Deb was a little under the weather up there in Orlando, too, and she's now under quarantine. They've basically locked down Orlando as of a couple hours ago. Orlando, Florida.
Is it?
So, yeah.
Oh, that's gone as well now.
Yeah.
Hey,
yep.
We're all going.
Oh, there's Deb. There's Deb right there. Hey, Deb, good to see you. Good to see you.
Deborah's just got a new dog, so hey.
Good. Well,
she's got two of them now, so.
You can't get out, but this has been sitting since before I got sick. So I do have a challenge tonight. Another growler, 32 ounces. This is from our dear friends, Paradolia Brewery. Want to say hi to Pete and all the crew at Paradolia Brewery. We're going to bring them up tonight as we talk about EVPs, because I got something very cool when we investigated the brewery.
This isn't fair. You're getting the beer there. Why don't I get the beer?
Well, unfortunately, I've had this one in the fridge since January, but so here it is. But this is a slow paddle porter, 5.2 alcohol by volume, so that's pretty good. Let me crack this one, see how it is. And I couldn't do it the last time because he was out in the middle. If you haven't seen his latest IDK Paranormal show, he was again out in the wilderness near a mine entrance in an old cabin. Got some good EVP, so I strongly recommend it, but he could not do the beer challenge. So let me try this slow paddle porter from Paradolia Brewery in Sebastian, Florida. Oh, kind of got a caramel taste to it. Not too strong. Not too bad. And as usual, folks, all you guys out there, I will drink completely from the growler tonight. So hopefully I won't be too far gone by the time the show's ends. At any rate, so much for the shout-outs. A couple things I want to mention. Next week when you folks when you join us, it's going to be an open mic night. You got questions, we will answer it. So join us next week.
Oh, hell. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we're just going to take their questions next week, and we're going to answer them and just run with it. So, folks, tell your friends, get together, get your questions ready, hit us with them next week's show. It'll be open mic and your question night. So we're going to be looking forward to that. But tonight, we kind of want to talk about electronic voice phenomenon, part of the larger field of instrumental trance communication. And Chris really had a calling to go into this tonight. And we had a kind of a good conversation the other day. So EVPs is our primary topic tonight. Who knows where we'll go from there. But for those of you that aren't familiar with EVPs, that's essentially the mapping or the collection of voices on a recorder that we cannot hear with our own ears, but the recorders can pick them up. Probably the easiest way for me to explain it to folks is it's like a dog whistle. When you blow a dog whistle, we can't hear it, but the dogs can. Why? Frequency and vibration. The frequency and vibration is beyond what we can hear. that's kind of a simplistic way to look at EVPs, but to me, it's the easiest way to explain it. And I think, Chris, you and I have talked about this before. I think this is going to be, if we ever make that connection, if we ever truly make contact with the other side, it's going to be through this medium. It's going to be through something electronic, something to do with radio waves, frequency, and vibration. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm tired, and you're going to get silly answers tonight. I do warn you.
And it's 1 o'clock over there, so.
Well, no, it's 12, but
it's 12, sorry.
It's 11 going, and we're going to go on till 12. Sometimes you do hear it very clearly. Sometimes you do get the voices come through, and they are just a manipulation of vibration. I was saying this to someone earlier on today. It's roughly the similar principle of the synthesizer, that you take a vibration and you twist it and turn it and manipulate it and squeeze it, and out comes something which we can hear. That's the basic principle. Oh, I've lost that now. Okay, that's better. Oh, I'm having trouble here. Where was I? Oh, yeah, some EVPs you can hear absolutely without any hassle. I dare say I'm convinced that you've told me that you've had your name called when you've been places. It's exactly the same. That's an EVP.
Yeah, it happened 3 investigations right in a row late last year. 3 investigations where my name came out. At least one of them was on a voice box, which once again is within the realm of instrumental transcommunication. It's the frequency and vibrations that we catch on the spirit box. But yeah, my name 3 times came out. But probably the most significant EVP that we've gotten was the one I've talked about a number of times, and that's Billy in the old school at the Fellsmere Schoolhouse, old Fellsmere Schoolhouse. And that was a direct answer. Mark Holt, one of my team members, asked him the question on tape, Billy, is this the room you like to be in? Nobody heard the answer. They didn't get it until they played the recording back minutes later, and you got a little boy clearly saying, yes, sir. Is this the room you like to be in? The answer, yes, sir. If there was ever any doubt in my mind that there is some sort of, whether you want to call it dimensional, other world, whatever, if I ever doubted there was anything on the other side, that moment completely changed it. Well, actually, there's been a couple, but that would have changed it because the voice was so clear and it was such a precise answer to the question. Now, not all EVPs are like that, are they?
Most aren't. No. You get the classic definition of people who say, I mean, we had this conversation a couple of days ago, but the ABC, well, even before we go there, can we go somewhere else? We need new terminology desperately. When people are talking about an EVP, what are they talking about? Because they can be talking about something they've just recorded on a recorder, or a spirit box, or an app, or something or other, and we need a whole new terminology to describe what we're listening to.
Well, that kind of, and I don't want to get back into last week's conversation too much, but that goes into my very fervent belief that we need training, we need standards, we need structure of some kind so that everybody can be on the same page. I know you don't particularly like the terminology of Class A or Class
Not at all. I'll go there in a minute, but
but that would be an example of us coming together with some type of common language that we all can understand and agree to. That's the toughest part, no question. But that we can all agree to. But anyway, go ahead.
The classification of EVPs needs sorting out quite badly now. And technology is going to come along. We're going to add another 2 or 3 categories within the next 10 years, I'm sure. And we need to have some way of sorting it out. So you say an EVP and everybody knows that's just taken on a recorder. We need to have app and everybody knows that that's a recording taken from an app.
Well, I mean, in a sense, we have, though, haven't we? We've got the overall.
Because people just say EVP.
Well, and I've heard.
Yeah, then you've got to bang your head against the wall to try and get it out of them what they actually did.
Well, I've also heard people call disembodied voice an EVP. And that's not accurate. A disembodied voice is a voice you actually hear with your own ears, and it's not an EVP. It's not even part of the instrumental transcommunication umbrella. So I see exactly what you're saying.
So, but anyway, that's the first thing. Let's go on to. Oh God, what's happening here? There we are. Oh, it keeps doing funnies tonight when me Skype is doing very funnies.
Looks like, as long as you guys can hear Chris, I see a couple of you are having problems seeing him on your computer. I apologize for that. Unfortunately, we can't control Skype. But as long as you can still hear him, if you stop hearing him, let us know, because we're watching the comments. Go ahead, Chris.
Start cheering. You've then got the problem of class A, B, and C, or 1, 2, 3, and all that's doing is saying how you can hear it. I mean, what's the point of that? It's just saying, well, I can hear this very clearly, or I can only hear this a little bit, or I can barely hear this. I mean, that doesn't tell us anything. That's like stamp collecting and then saying, well, these are red, these are green, and these are blue. Mm-hmm. It's not giving us any definition whatsoever. But and add to that, I've actually got 4 classifications, because there's a quieter one that only comes through once you've processed the level 3s, which I've got. With 3s, you can either see them as in the waveform, or you can hear them as a really sibilant as you go through it. You can't hear words at all. It's not like communication, but you can boost them up and it will come up and you get what I call a level 3. Once you've got your level 3s, then you get exactly the same for a level 4, which is even lower down, and I can't boost them enough for people to hear. Mm-hmm. Because the problem is, as soon as you start boosting the thing, you've got to clean it, boost it, clean it, boost it, clean it, boost it, and it blows. So all of a sudden you're just getting booming or hissing, or you just can't get it. The technology isn't there to clean it enough. Well, not that I can afford. I mean, I dare say there is some technology there that if you can afford it. I mean, if we have the budget of NASA.
Real quick, Chris Costas joined us. Good evening, Chris. And Rainbow Supernatural is back. So glad to see both of you guys back with us tonight. Thanks for being here. So that leads me to another question. So you watch, and I hate to bring up the TV shows, but that's where a lot of folks have been introduced to the philosophy, or the what an EVP is. You get a clear voice like I did with Billy, or I should say Mark Holt did, but it was a member of our team during an event. Clearly a voice. You don't need it to filter. You don't need to filter it. You don't need to do it. It's just there. Is there a difference between what Class A or your Class 1 EVP, if you can hear it without going through the filtration, or you need to filter it to hear it clearly? Well, do you see a difference between them?
Once again, it's an apples and pears thing. You can actually hear what I was trying to get over earlier on when we started. You can actually hear EVPs walking around a building, getting your name called. That's an EVP, not through any mechanism at all. You just hear it.
That's more of a disembodied, what I call a disembodied voice. So if
it's still an EVP.
Well,
it's exactly the same.
It is, but it's not recorded the same. I would disagree with.
You can hear it and you can record it. It's exactly the same, and I have. But I've heard my name and I've actually got it on record. There is no difference. It's still an EVP.
Well, we had a group of people at the old school again, and they were in a small room that had a bunch of electronics in it, so the EMF equipment wasn't working. Somebody's phone went off, and it was Siri. Can I help you? 4 adults started laughing, and suddenly you heard, and there were only 4 people in the room. Suddenly you hear a 5th voice, and it was a child laughing, and they all heard it, and they all recorded it. Now,
Brilliant.
My term, and this is we had it. We've got it on our website. In fact, it was just clearly because you heard everybody say, "Did you hear that? Did you? I heard a kid laugh. I heard a kid laugh too." And then one of my team members says, "Yeah," and I recorded it. We call that, and my terminology for that is not an EVP, but a disembodied voice, which I look at differently. And maybe this goes back to, once again, your discussion on coming up with an agreed upon terminology that
It
encompasses
needs,
it all.
as I said, it all needs sorting out, and everybody needs to sit down and bang each other around the head and finally agree on a terminology that we can all agree on. And that's vital. We need to do this because we're talking apples, pears, and lemons at the moment.
Yeah,
And somebody's talking about a lemon, but they're all being called EVP. So we've got to have this. Anyway, this is going down into where I didn't want to go. So,
well, Dan Clarkson just came on, and Dan Squatch says, "Why even have class ratings? Everyone classifies them with their own systems." And he's saying para-unity, and I agree with you, Dan. There needs to be para-unity, but there's also got to be a structure so that there's a classification here in Florida, and there's one up in Tacoma, Washington, that we can talk to on the same level, and everybody understands what it means. That would be my only argument with that. So that what we talked a little bit last week about putting together a group of people to come together and argue and discuss and talk about these types of classifications and structures that we need, I think, anyway. But go ahead.
Where was I?
Who knows?
Who knows? Have another sip of beer and I'll have a think.
We got one other question.
Yes.
What was?
No,
go ahead.
That's one
Tank,
of the other things. Everybody using spirit boxes, you see them all crowding around this box or around the speaker, and they're all going, "Oh yes, I heard it say blah 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 blah. I heard it say blah 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 blah." Well, yeah, okay. Sometimes, as you say with your example of Billy, with the yes sir, it's clear and it's at normal speech. Absolutely. I don't say anything about this. I've had them myself. You get them very clear, and it can't be anything else. But other times it's coming through, and it's coming through very fast. And you've got people there saying, "Oh, I heard it say help. I heard it say Billy. I heard it say something." But when you actually take it and slow it and clean it, it's not saying that at all. I've had these in the past where people have said, "Oh, did you hear that? It said love you or this and that." When you actually process it, it actually says leave. And you get also, especially swear words. I mean, I love getting swear words. I really do. It means I'm doing something right. You're not going to get a really good swear word over the radio, are you?
No, and
this is the thing. So when I get a C word or an F, I'm not. You see, I'm being good. When I get a C word or an F word, or any of the other words that you might know with W words, etc. If I get these coming through, I can say, "Well, look, mate, you can argue all you like that some of this could be radio waves, etc. But you're not going to get these coming through on a radio."
Not with the FCC listen, that's for darn sure.
Well, you won't
I
get
agree.
Over here, so.
and you're right, and that's one of the big problems with the Spirit Box. And for those of you that may not be familiar with the Spirit Box, this is a device that quickly scans forward and backwards either AM or FM radio waves. And what we try to look for is the white noise or the static. And kind of how to describe it is you've got radio waves that go like this, and you measure megahertz or the frequency by the distance between the peaks of all the waves. What we're trying to listen for is the static in the valleys, and that's where we hear the words. And Chris, you're 100% right, especially with the Spirit Box. That's tough to do. They do make them that where you can actually filter a lot of that out, but that's the toughest part, is actually hearing it and agreeing what it's saying. Now, what I consider to be a clean EVP or a true EVP is off of a recording. And you still deal with the same thing, static and whatnot, but it's sometimes a bit clearer. But let me throw this question out to you, because I know there's somebody out there that's thinking this. When you take an EVP, whether it's off of a Spirit Box or you get it off of a recorder, and you filter it, you analyze it, and you put it through the system, do you risk the chance of ruining that piece of evidence by manipulating it? I guess maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Does that make sense? What's your take on that?
Only if you're one of these individuals, and I'm not going to name, who deliberately sets out to create stuff rather than say exactly what's there. but you know who I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. I do. I do.
Yeah. There are people out there who are, I will say, unscrupulous, and they will manipulate to make it sound like what they want rather than what is actually there. And if you see a lot of my stuff, it's unclear, very unclear. I can't get it any clearer without doing sillies. And to do sillies, then you're manipulating it beyond the point that it can be cleaned.
And here we go back to my cop thinking again. Speaking of cops, by the way, Ike's on the air. So Ike, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining us. Missed you last week, pal. Great show you did the other night, by the way.
Now, what? Where exactly did you leave that whiskey and that little bit of gold?
Yeah. What, folks? If you want to know what Chris is talking about, go check out IDK Paranormal's latest show. But anyway,
I'm more interested in the whiskey, to tell you the truth.
Well, apparently, because speaking of EVPs, and Ike, I didn't quite get a chance to read all of your text back to me, but I don't think you caught the growl, or you did. I'm not sure, but he got two very distinct growls on his SB11, Spirit Box 11, that he asked a question, and all you got was a very guttural growl. Pretty dang cool. Pretty dang cool. But that's another great EVP caught by an investigator. But what I was going to get at is, do you think it would be beneficial if there was one, two, maybe even three types of systems or apps, or however you want to call it, that you use to clean up EVPs? For it to be sanctioned, I don't know, people don't like that word, but for it to be generally accepted, you needed to use one of these three types of analyzing systems for your EVPs. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not quite sure where you're going with this.
I guess where I'm going with it is you used an Adobe type of okay, but there may be 35 out there that people are using regularly. Would it be beneficial if 3 of these 35 were the recommended ones for cleaning your EVPs?
I don't like it.
Okay.
I think that I can see where you're going, but I don't like it. I think everybody should do their own stuff.
But then
I really do.
But then how do you?
It's just down to people learning how to do it. But I think everybody, you can't give this to somebody else to sort of say, here, mate, grab hold of this. There's 5 minutes there, and that should take you no more than about 4 hours. And then I've been in this situation in the not so distant past where you're just getting bombarded with, you say to people, give me 2 minutes because that's going to take me an hour and a half to do, and they'll give you 15 minutes. Yeah. Because they're so enthusiastic to, this is what I was getting, but you can't process it. I once did. I analyzed a 45-minute session, just one of 3 of an event that we did up at the Pearce Institute up in Scotland, and that took me a month to process. So, you can't throw everything to these people because it's just a physical time thing, and you can't do it for a long period of time because you stop hearing it. You get very deaf to it, and then you get exhausted by it because you're focusing at this thing intently, trying to listen for the slightest thing which might be a voice. And then it takes you another 5 minutes there is no such thing as a global program which you can just apply and it brings things out. Every single one of the voices that you hear is individually processed.
I think you might have misunderstood where I was coming from with this. What I'm getting at is, and this is once again an evidentiary thing. I'm thinking like a cop again. You have 5 people using your Adobe, for example. We'll take this part of it first. None of them have been trained the same.
Everybody hears differently.
Okay. Well, let me finish it. But none of them were trained the same in how to use this piece of equipment. All of them listen to the same recording. All of them use what they know about using this system, even though they've been trained differently in how to use it. They all hear something different.
Mm-hmm.
Take away the fact that everybody does hear differently, and you and I have discussed that, and I agree. But don't you think that because none of them are listening to it the same way, takes away from some of the credibility of what they've heard? Or on the flip side of it, 5 different people use 5 different systems to analyze it and come up with 5 different answers on the same EVP. Doesn't that then kind of take away the credibility of what all of them are hearing? Because who's right? Which one's right?
I can give you an answer which came home to me. When was this? About 7 years ago. That we tried something similar with people processing. And once somebody pointed out what they were hearing, I could hear what they were.
Chris, got to put a time out here for a second. I'm getting word somebody's got a threat, a virus coming up on their screen. Chat for a second. Let me go check with Ryan and see if it's coming up on his screen because he's in the other room. So keep going with that thought.
What on?
Yeah, there's a virus that's popped up. I just need to see where it's coming from. So you keep talking. I'll be right back, guys.
That's not fair. That's just not fair. What on earth are you talking about? A virus has come up. Let's have a little look. Oh, dear. Sorry about this, everyone. I don't know what the hell's going on today. My Skype is all over the place and it keeps crashing. Well, not crashing. It keeps minimizing itself, which is probably why people can't see me. I haven't been able to get text up. Let's try this again. What am I looking for? I am looking for something that's not on the screen. That's why I can't find it. Oh, here we go. Oh, what? No Facebook. What?
Come here. Take a look at it. It's up here right now. Hey, we're checking it out now, guys. See that? Yeah. Oh, it's gone now. Okay. Okay. Guys, it was Ryan's computer doing a scan. That was it. Sorry, guys.
I'll look into it after we're done.
All right. It's all good. It was just a scan. So, sorry about that. Oh, am I missing now? Okay, come on, Chris. Guys, am I off? Is my visual gone? Can anybody see me?
Hang on, I'm trying to find you again. What on? Oh, hello. Right, there we are.
Do you see me?
I've got you.
Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. Anyway, we're all back in business. So where were we while I was gone, Christopher?
I've honestly no idea.
Well, anyway.
No, sorry. That's right. That's right. 6 years ago. 3 of us were listening to something, and I was saying it was saying this, and somebody else was saying it was saying that, and somebody else was saying it was saying this. Now, as soon as we started analyzing it, I could bring all 3 voices out. There are multiple voices on the recordings. And
okay.
Some people hear one, some people hear another, some people hear another. I don't know how many voices there are. I mean, how many dimensions are there? But there are usually, sometimes you get, just like Billy, 1. And other times there's lots.
Okay.
This was demonstrated that there were 3 voices on here, and we were all hearing something different because we focused on a different point. Somebody hearing low, somebody hearing high.
Yeah. And I've experienced that with some of the stuff that you've had. I totally agree that sometimes we are able to hear different things because I've experienced it, like I said, with some of your stuff. And then we get Sergeant Fury that we both heard. So
some are clear, yeah.
So that was kind of interesting.
That one was an exceptional one because that was checkable. That was just very exceptional.
Dan Squatch says that he uses Audacity, and he also hears that Sonic Visualizer is good. I know I've got Audacity myself. I guess my concern is, once again, I don't know if there's ever going to be an answer to this question. You're convinced there's not. I refuse to be convinced. But if there's ever going to be a way that we can have everybody come together and have all the evidence accepted, there's got to be a standard. Once again, maybe I'm just pie in the sky, but
You've not had enough beer.
well, maybe that's the problem, because I don't see the work that's being done by folks that are trying to find answers being taken seriously until we have sort of standard.
It's certainly not taken seriously. And to tell you the truth, most people, not some of the people listening tonight, but quite a lot, just regard it as fun, entertainment.
Well, that's true.
What's the stupid idiot coming out with today?
Well, yeah. Well, then hopefully they're not listening. But if that's how they feel, but you get the thrill seeker, what I call the thrill seeker type of paranormal investigator, and that's fine. That's fine. If somebody wants to go out and enjoy it, it's just like somebody playing. They can't play professional baseball, but they sure like playing in intramural leagues. They're doing it for fun.
Playing what?
I get that. It's a baseball thing. It's
all right.
You're either you're playing. You can't play professional ball, but you just enjoy it for fun. So you play in a county league or something like that. So I get that. But if we're ever, how far can you go getting these EVPs and saying, "Oh, listen to what I got," and then just tossing it to the side and waiting till you hear the next one? How long can you do that before it gets mundane? If you don't have a desire to make it better.
This is why the work that I do is always placed within context. Mm-hmm. It's not just doing a recording in your front room. It's placed within a context. Now, I've made the point many, many, many times as well. You might not be talking to someone from that context. I go out and do an airfield. You might not be talking to someone. Well, there's a number of people out there who call me deluded and other things because I do this. But you might be talking to someone who lived in a farm on the land before they built the airfield, or someone from a further back period, or someone from a local village, or someone from a local city, or someone who's just followed me on the motorbike as I rode in here, thinking, "Oh, I can get someone to listen to me saying something." Mm-hmm. Or it could be someone who died 2 days ago.
Yeah, and I get that. Oh, you can't go into place expecting to specifically get a person from a specific time. I get that.
The only time that we can say, "Look, I've got something," is if you can trace it. To tell you the truth, is if you can trace it, and that is why I'm still so impressed with the Sergeant Theory.
Yeah,
it was traceable. I'm impressed with Billy because he's there again.
Yeah, and that EVP, I'm telling you, just remarkable. While we're back on this subject, I can't remember who asked it now because there's been a lot of conversation on there, but we were asked, what is our favorite EVP? What's the best EVP we ever got? You go first.
I've had so many. I can tell you, there's two. There's two. There's two which are the favorites. Mm-hmm. The first is from the only time that I think I've ever come against something dark, which could be demonic. And I'm very loath to use that term. I don't use it. And it's at this place, and we were under assault. We were being psychically assaulted all the time we were there, and it was dire. And there's a little child's voice at one time through, very sing-song, and it comes through saying, "Somebody did murder." And we were having murder every 10 seconds. Murdered, someone murdered. They murdered me all the way through this. But there was this one child voice saying, "Somebody did murder." And that really put sort of hairs up the back of my neck when I heard that. We heard that very clearly through the spirit box as well. It was that clear.
Wow.
The second one wasn't taken by me. It was taken by my friend Jonathan down at RAF Burn, which is just below York, very near Elvington. And as always, you just run out of things to ask. You know, you're standing there like a lemon. You've gone through can you tell me what your name is? And what was this? What was the base like? What was the food like on the base? And he suddenly came out with, can you tell me what you did of an evening for fun? And it comes straight back with a woman's voice. Sex. Very clear. Very clear. And remember, this was wartime.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that is a favourite.
My favorite, obviously, Billy, is just, in my opinion, was the most spectacular one that our group's ever gotten. But the other one I've gotten, it was myself, my son Evan, Dan Squatch was there, and another team member was there, Jen Melton, and we were doing a walkthrough of this recently closed prison, state prison. Nobody had ever been in there before, that investigated before. We'd had talked to some correctional officers that said, oh yeah, there's crazy things that happen there while they worked there. So we went through this place. It was a juvenile detention facility. And when I say youthful offender, that means they were between the ages of 18 and 22. They were adult, but they were young adults. A lot of crazy things that happened there. And we'd gone through the entire place, all the different lockdown areas. And we went to the main lockdown spot. It was where they put everybody. It was really bad. And we went through it, and the first thing we got was I was explaining to Jen why the floors were see-through on the second floor so that you could see the bottoms. And we got a voice saying, down here, which was pretty cool. But that wasn't the good one. The good one was when we were leaving, and it was at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I love getting these questions. Do ghosts only come out at night? No, they're around us 24/7. Yep. Well, anyway, we're coming out, and we've got our recorders going. And Evan asked the question, or makes the statement, I should say, it's a shame they were locked up in life and they're still locked up in the afterlife. Didn't hear anything. Went about our business. Dan actually caught this and called me back with it later that day. And after Evan said that, a male voice, it was a very loud, but it was a whisper, said, hell, we ain't dead.
Yep.
Wow. I mean, yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's a shame they're locked up here, locked up in life, and they're still locked up in the afterlife. Response, hell, we ain't dead. Oh, my gosh. That one sent chills up my spine.
Well, thinking similar lines, but opposite. My friend Paul down in Hornchurch got one very clear one while he was on former RAF Hornchurch. And he's asking around, is anyone here? Got a few replies. And then there's a very, very sad young man's voice comes through, and it just says, I think I'm dead. Which is exactly the same sort of thing, you know, hell, we ain't dead. But this is, I think I'm dead. And that's very sad. But it's also intelligence. And I think it's wonderful. One of the worst ones I've ever heard. I mean, there's been, you know, I tell you about the swear words and X, Y, and Z and threats to me, except, you know, I'm going to kill you. And everybody gets them. I've even had, I'm going to haunt you. So you just take it with a pinch of salt. One of the worst ones is from a prison over here, one which I want to take you to, up at Jedburgh.
Yeah, Jedburgh prison, yeah.
And the recording's going on while there's a group of girls in the room, young ladies. And the spirits at the time, you're pulling the voices out from around what they're saying, and they're commenting on their attributes about X, Y, and Z. And then it goes from that to what they'd like to do. And you just keep going with it. Yeah. And it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And then the girls leave the room. And there is one creepy voice right at the end, which really, really did put shivers up my spine, because it suddenly comes over sort of in a whispery, dirty old man voice. And it says, I want to torture one. And that's just, you know, that's why these guys were locked up there. And I think they're still locked up there.
Well, you know, you and I have talked about my I know a dream is a bad way to put it, but something I very badly want to do, and we've talked about ways to connect you with this, and that is to go to crime scenes, preferably that have not been solved, or maybe the sites of where they have been solved and the suspect's been, met his maker, shall we say, and conduct EVP sessions and just see if not only can we hear back from the perpetrator, the serial killer.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm interested in.
Yeah, and that's one. And I've got a spot now. I've talked to you about going to the place that's known as where Barbecue Charlie.
The barrels. Yeah,
the barrels. Yeah,
I'm fascinated by this.
Yeah, I think that is going to be. I think that could be a way to really put some of this stuff together. Maybe even help solve a crime. I'm not beyond believing that's possible.
Would there be any way that you could give me a video link when you do it as well?
Oh, we'll work something out.
Because
right now with all the crazy,
see what I can see at the same time.
Yeah, the craziness going on now, it's a little tough, but yeah,
we can't. I think this year's pretty wiped out, to tell you the truth. I mean, all I'm going through is lots of files that I've got, stuff which I've considered too hard in the past.
Well,
because
I want to get back.
If it's not if it's not easy and it doesn't take me, if it's only going to take me 5 minutes or so to start processing a short file, I don't mind doing it. But if it's going to be a long file and it's a hard slog and you start boosting it up and it blows out and you go back to square one and you do it again and you do the other way and it blows out again, and this is what I call my difficult files. You just keep putting them off.
Yeah, a couple things here. Paul talked about sending me an EVP. Yep, you sent me something, Paul, but I don't know if it was during the time I was kind of sick. If you got it, send it to me again. I'd love to hear it. Ike came up and talked about he likes EVPs that say what you're about to say in a different voice, or they repeat what you say.
Yep.
And it's happened to him many times. He likes that quite a bit.
Now, have you had the ones where they actually say something in your voice, but you haven't said it?
I hadn't. Well, there was. Now that you mentioned it, there was an investigation. It was, quite a while ago, where somebody thought it was me talking and it wasn't. So I have not experienced it, but other folks have. M18 asks have any EVPs been done at the 9/11 site? There's been folks that have
controversial.
Yeah, I don't know that I would do that, at least openly, just out of respect. That's why I don't do a lot of graveyards for respect.
I wouldn't put it online if I did it.
Oh, no. I definitely wouldn't, but it's interesting thought. Command and Judge Paul says, I sent you an EVP a few months ago. It's titled Clava Carnes EVP. You know what, Paul? If you send it to me, man, it may have been during my recovery period. I don't remember. Send it to me again, pal. I would love to take a look at it. Before we're really rolling through this hour here, my friend. So what I'd like to do is talk about now. We can agree to disagree on how, what formats we use, what systems we use to analyze EVPs. But what about actually conducting an EVP session, whether it's a strict EVP session with a just a recorder or it's a spirit box that you're recording? Would you agree that there's got to be a standardization in how you set those up? Would you agree with that? I.e., today.
Where are you going with this again?
Where I'm going with this is, okay, everybody, I think, should have a standard. It doesn't have to be the same words or in the same line of succession, but today's date, the time is, we are here, and these are the people present before you start recording. Would you agree with that?
I think that's a good one to, if you can try and remember to do it. I tend to find that it's as much as I can do to turn a recorder on and just go. Well, I'm afraid to say I'm always working on my own.
Yeah, that's true. You do work on your own most of the time. The biggest problem is I've had problems with our own group where we have forgotten to do it. Yep. And I go back and I'm listening.
I'd love to remember to do it. I really would, because I think that is really good practice.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm buggered if I can remember to do it when I'm walking around somewhere and people are talking to me. It's as much as I can do to turn the camera on to try and get a video. The last time I was at Middleham Castle, chap started talking to me as I was waiting for others to arrive. And I couldn't actually see him. I could tell it was male, and he was of a sort of 40s to 50s, had an awfully posh voice, absolutely posh. And all he was doing was, gosh. I mean, gosh, isn't this good? Gosh, you mean to say you can hear me? Gosh, this is wonderful. And he just kept on, and eventually he sort of drifted off somewhere. And then I was walking around, and I've actually got him talking to me as I reach a part of the castle. And it's coming back through. Gosh, isn't this good? Gosh, I'm just thinking, wow. So I managed to turn the camera on for that, but I didn't remember to go through all the hello, this is that. My usual procedure is, hello, my name's Chris. Is there anyone here? Come on, chaps, come and talk to me. I do find that the best way of getting responses is if you're having just an ordinary chat. Not loud, just a gentle chat. Go as you walk around. Oh, look at this, look at that, and da 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 da. Look at those flowers, and look at the bees, and da 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 da. Have you been here before? Did anything happen? And then you get the voices coming through. They actually seem to be taking an interest in what you're doing, rather than just standing there and saying, "What's your name?" You know, how polite. You know, what's your name? Are you here all the time? The fatal one, of course, which I tell everyone don't do, is how did you die?
Oh, I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you.
That's really clever. You've got someone there who doesn't know they're dead, as you've said before. Hell, we ain't dead.
Yeah, exactly.
And you suddenly say, how did you die? So I've never seen anything stop an EVP session so quickly as somebody saying, how did you die?
There are some folks that don't realize that they've crossed.
Exactly.
So I totally agree with you.
All of a sudden, you throw them into confusion, and they think, well, and they've gone. They've gone because they've lost the connection. They're not sure what they're talking about.
Yeah, it is a part of our policy. We don't ask that question.
That's a sort of no. I mean, one of the most magnificent failures, which was a success. I'll go through. Someone at Jebra did a recording of the execution bell. Now, this was wrong when executions took place. So you just got this bong, bong, bong. I was doing the EVP session with this, and they started playing this tape of this execution bell. Right. And there wasn't an EVP to be had. There wasn't a single one. And I was thinking, well, that's shagged that up, hasn't it? I found out later it was policy amongst the prisoners that when the execution bell was sounded as a mark of respect, there was silence.
See, I don't, and I can understand that. I don't see that as telling somebody they're asking them how they died. I see that as more of a trigger object. Boom, 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 and they became silent.
I'm just relating it to you. It's just things that you do. And they're no-nos and things that you do, and they're really good. I mean, other things that really annoy me is when people we're going back to the talking bit, except they're talking and they don't stop. So there's no gap to hear any EVP responses because they're going, tell me, how old are you? Oh, and did you live here? Oh, are you male or female? And what's your name? And blah, 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 blah. And then you've got 3 or 4 people all going, how old are you? And then someone else at the same time is going, blah, 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 blah. And then someone, blah, 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 blah. And this is a real no-no.
Well, and I see 2 reasons for that. One is you don't give them a chance to answer, and you're hitting them from all angles. And B, I firmly believe that their time isn't the same as ours. So you may ask a question and you may not get an answer right away. Once again, it's policy for our group. We don't do EVP sessions any longer than a minute and a half, 2 at tops.
That's excellent. Yeah.
And then we have to review it right then because if you ask a question and they answer it, but you don't listen to it till the next day,
Yeah.
then how can you continue on the conversation?
This is something else. You ask for a name, they give you a name. It would be really, really nice to then say, "Hello, John. Nice to hear from you."
Exactly.
Wouldn't it? I mean, this would be excellent practice. I did try and do this, or try and get this instigated quite a while back, but nothing ever came of it because people just want to say, oh, well, we just want to bugger around, and then people start, oh, well, here, ghosty, 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 do something, throw a stone.
Well, you're never going to get away from folks that are like that. You're always going to have some. We've got to focus on the ones that want to seriously uncover the answers.
But the sort of minute and a half, 2 minutes, I mean, that's doable. If you did that, as you just sort of go through, your technical stuff, you observe and you film, etc., and then you do an EVP session, and then you have a break, and during the break, that's analysed. And then you go back in, and anything that you've learned from the EVPs is applied. I think that's a superb way forward.
Now, see, and that's why when people say to me, "Oh, you can't put standards and structure, and you can't," everybody does it their same way. We've come to an agreement on a structure. It's still fluid. It's still kind of loose.
It has to be fluid.
Allows people latitude, yet there's still a structure. Don't do your EVP sessions for more than a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then review them.
Review them. I mean, it's a superb way of it.
Yeah.
Except when you've got my way of doing things, which is just me walking around.
Well, that's why you have a team.
I can't work in teams.
Well, I understand that, and your situation is a little bit different. But let's say you have a team with somebody that is has your needs, to put it that way, that to just keep going. Well, then you have somebody that's with you, that's picking up the slack, that's maybe cutting it off every couple minutes and maybe listening. And as you do your thing, they're doing their thing, but it's all within the parameters that you've set up, and you're still covering all the ground. You're still getting somebody listening to what's happening every couple minutes, but it's not interrupting your train of thought. Make sense?
Yeah. And I've warned you before, and watch out for mediums. They'll try and take your group over.
Okay. Chris says, "Hey, Ike, I think he's picking on you with a throw a stone thing." Sorry, Chris, you got me lost in that one, pal. So we're not picking on anybody. Don't know unless you tried. Not quite sure what we missed there, Chris. But at any rate, but that's where I'm getting at. When we do those types of things, if everybody, regardless of how they did their preamble, they may said their names first, then the date and time or whatever, but they all did it within 2 and 3 minutes. They all then reviewed. They all then went back and answered any questions or responded to any questions that were answered. Man, I think we'd get a whole lot farther, and we'd have more continuity.
It comes down to cost, time, how many people you've got doing this, how many people are prepared to put any work in. Because as you know yourself, in any group, you've got 2 people who do the work and the rest just tag along.
Yep.
They want you to organize everything. Nature. They'll just go along. They won't do anything. They won't even help set stuff up.
Yeah.
If we had a perfect world, I'd be shouting for you every step of the way. It's just we haven't.
Yeah. Well, and it's. Yeah, I hear you. It's if it was a perfect world, but once again, I go back to the way I view things. I'm still not going to give up. People can. I'm still just not going to give up.
Eventually, when you actually come over here, you can do the recording, and I'll just walk around free as a bird, and you can record what I'm doing. That would work.
That would absolutely work.
It's got to be someone I can trust.
Well, and we're kind of getting away from our EVP thing there, but that comes with creating a group. I used to tell my police recruits when I ran the police academy, when you pick a police department, pick one that fits your personality. And police departments, just like people, have personalities. Pick one that fits yours. Well, it's no different with this. pick a group. If you want to investigate and you've got a choice between 3 groups that are looking to put on new members, find one that fits your personality. Don't go in trying to force your personality or have them force their personality on you. Find one that fits you. You and I could do that, but maybe I won't pick on Dan because he gets all offended. I'm just kidding, Danny. But Dan may not enjoy doing that. Just to pick a name, or Billy may not enjoy doing that. So you've got to pick the teams and groups that you feel comfortable with and that you identify with, and that begins to solve that problem. Simple as that. So.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still here. Don't worry. I'm still here. I'm just sort of vaguely going to sleep, but I'm still here.
Well, we're just about done anyway, my friends. Yeah. So hang in there. You could have been about 5 minutes. So, but I think it
really is finding like-minded people.
Mm-hmm.
It really is, and it's very hard because they all want to do TV style, and as you know, my attitude towards TV style is quite derogatory.
I know, but not everybody's like that, Chris. Not everybody's like that. The bottom line is EVPs, folks, our discussion for tonight. My personal belief, and it's just my personal belief, I think that's where we are going to get our big breakthrough when it does come. The question is, when are we going to create the equipment to do it, and when are we going to create the standards with which to use the new equipment properly and in a unified way that allows continuity with investigations. There's my soapbox for the day. But with that, folks, we really anything else you want to add, my friend Chris?
No. How's that beer going?
I'm doing it slowly. I'm still not 100%, so I don't drink it all, but it'll be gone. But
we haven't got you to do the touch your nose and walk in a straight line test yet.
We're not talking about that, Chris. Okay, we're not talking about that.
We can.
Okay?
Ryan would enjoy that.
What happens in York stays in York. Okay. Jeez. Oh. By the way, Spanky says you can pick on the firefighter, so everybody feel free to pick on Spanky Maxwell, Michael Maxwell. At any rate, folks, we've had a great time tonight. Great conversation. Appreciate everybody's input. Seems like we're getting more people actually getting online and chatting and asking questions. Next week, folks, is your week. Next week is your questions. Give us your thoughts. You can tell us why you think we're nuts and ask us to explain why we do the things we do. You can ask us what we think about this method or what we think about this philosophy. It's your week to ask the questions, and Chris and I will give you our thoughts. We are not the experts.
We'll just turn around and say, I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing. Sometimes we don't know.
I don't know so much. This is the thing.
Anybody that says that they are the world-renowned experts, that they are the ones that have all the answers, be suspicious of them. Because, folks, I'm here to tell you, nobody has the answers yet. No. We're all still searching. So, can't touch your face, Larry. Oh, Dan
Who's
Squatch.
That?
That's Dan Squatch. Can't touch your face, Larry. It's Corona. No, it's
his nose. It's his nose. It's all right.
It's a long story. So I'll tell you about it next time I see it.
It's a long story. Don't ask Larry about it. Ask Ryan.
Well, okay. At any rate, folks, we're going to call tonight. Listen, everybody, please take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. Don't forget to tell somebody close to you that you love them, because you never know when that last day is going to be.
I forgot one thing. I really, really worried.
I was in a heavy moment.
No, don't be in heavy moments. This is not the time for heavy. I really worried a postman, because he came up and stood at sort of arm's length and handed over a package and said, "Oh, we don't want you to sign for things at the moment. We don't want to touch or anything." So I just turned around to him and said, "What? So handshakes are out?" He said, "Yeah." So then I said, "So I suppose a big wet sloppy kiss is out as well then, is it?" And he just didn't know where to put himself.
Well, at least you made him smile.
I haven't seen him since.
Yeah. Anyway, on that note,
you wait till you come to Durham and you get me drunk. God help you.
Yeah, I think I might end up there before you do, but we'll talk about that when I get to County Durham.
Absolutely.
Anyway, Folks, if you enjoyed the show tonight, please hit subscribe and please hit that little bell right there. That will let you know when there's new content up. But thanks for being here. Please take care of yourselves. Don't forget to tell somebody close to you that you love them. And we'll see you next Tuesday night. And until then, folks, we'll see you on the other side. Have a good night. Stay safe.